Okay. Welcome. Today, this is a curious lesson here because, by the way, I'm Jesse, and if you're new here, then welcome. But uh, so I have this idea, and it's kind of a time-sensitive idea. So you're kind of going through this with me, but I was listening to the UFC 263 press conference, and if you know anything about the ego method, if you've seen any of my content or had any of my lessons, you know that I enjoy, or not that I enjoy, the best way, the best material to learn English or learn a foreign language is material that you find interesting, right? You know, I don't recommend normally grammar books. They're good for a certain time, right? In a class, maybe in school, maybe just to know the rules, the same as like math rules, right? But anyway, that's besides the point. One thing that I want to use. So I was listening to the press conference. Sorry, this is live, so I have to keep that in mind. Is why not teach English using the English here that people are using in the press conference? Why? Because you have, I think all of them except for Nate Diaz are non-native English speakers, right? I think they're all non-native English speakers, at least like as the first language, right? They both have their stories, and yeah, they're fluent. But I want to show any non-native English speaking fighters, if any of you are going to be listening, or team members, managers, to pass this along, the importance of knowing, well, being able to defend yourself and speak for yourself in these press conferences. It's essential. And that's not being racist. That's not even a racist comment. That's not a prejudice comment. That's just true. It's just true. And you don't have to speak English. You don't have to learn English. But the thing is, it is to your advantage, right? So the question isn't, is it better or not? Because I think it's clear that anything that opens up more opportunities is better, right? So the question then becomes how to use it to your advantage rather than disadvantage. And that's kind of what I had in mind with this lesson. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to play a bit of it because I don't want to get, copyright struck and everything. So, but I'll search around. And there are things to say and to learn from every interaction. So if you are interested in MMA, if you are interested in fighting, but yeah, you don't want to study English rules, don't. Study the things that you enjoy. And I use something that I've developed called the ego method. You're going to see a bit of that. It's essentially knowing what you're listening for and then watch content with those eyes, just like an eagle flying in the sky. But anyway, so let's take a look and listen and see what we can learn from this press conference, shall we?
Israel, I want to start with you, Israel. This is a rematch that's been in the works for a long time, but one that you didn't really seem all that excited about for a long time. But now that it's here, is this a fight that excites you and gives you energy, or is this just the fight that you had to take?
So the first thing, I guess if you're a fighter doing interviews or anyone doing interviews, I guess the first lesson from this would be some people ask really long questions, and I can see how it's difficult to get to the point, right? So let's listen to that question again and see if we can dissect and get to the point of the question. Because there's nothing worse than when you're asked a question, and I know this from being a non-native Spanish speaker, right? And I'm here in Spain, right? When you're put on the spot, forget the language. When you're put on the spot, that means when the focus is on you alone, it's hard to even think of your name, right? So, and then you have somebody asking you a question that's 3 paragraphs long and it could have been said in 5 sentences. Okay, I do that too. right? But let's see if we can get to the point of this question.
One that you didn't really seem all, this is a rematch that's been in the works for a long time, but one.
Okay, so right here, like this is a rematch. You don't have to understand that's been in the works for a long time. You kind of know, right? And that's the thing about language. You pick out what's important, right? And then you piece it in together with your speaking, but you pick out what's important. Okay, you picked out, it's a rematch. That's the context for the question, right?
One that you didn't really seem all that excited about for a long time, but now that it's here, is this a fight that excites you and gives you energy, or is this?
Okay, and now at that point, you can stop listening, I feel, because, and by the way, I'm not criticizing the question, that's his style. Just like my style is talk too much, right? I'm kind of talking to myself. But you could stop there, I think. Let's listen to the rest of his question, and then we'll try to shorten it.
It's just the fight that you had to take.
Well, he said he wanted October.
Okay, so let's get to the essential elements of that question. And what I'm doing, I'm trying to help with understanding how to take information and understand a long scenario. By the way, I should have mentioned that this particular video I got from MMA Fighting. So just to give them a shout out, I guess. I don't know. Ready?
This is a rematch that's been in the works for a long time, but one that you didn't really seem all that excited about for a long time. But now that it's here, is this a fight that excites you and gives you energy, or is this just the fight that you had to take?
Well, he said he wanted October.
So then, by the way, then as you're piecing together, right, you can start putting your answer together, right? So, but that's how you piece together information. You only need probably to focus on the emotion words and who he's talking about, right? And then you can piece together. So I think a lot of the times non-native English speakers, they worry, and non-native language speakers, they worry when they miss a word. Like, no, you're at this point, you're just gaining information, right? So I guess that's the first lesson I want to highlight. Is this coming through? Is anyone here? Danya, you're live. Awesome. So you can hear me, I take it. Okay, good. Let's do a little bit more.
I can't even hear what you're saying.
That was a weird part.
So I'm pumped about it.
Here's something really to focus on, and I think this will be the last lesson to take, and it's about effort, right? It's about effort. So I forgot to put my banners on, right? But here's the thing. You'll see between Moreno and him, sorry for forgetting his name, but that's the thing. Like, when it does matter about your fighting skills, but it also really matters about your communication skills and giving effort, and giving bad interviews, but giving the effort is better than not giving the effort, right? Not speaking perfect English and speaking, weak English or speaking poor English, I guess you could say, is better than not. It's better than going through a translator, right? So that's the first thing that I want to share, to not to, criticize, but to encourage, to give you a reason. I think that's the thing, right? Is a lot of the time, let me write this in we need to find the motivation, find the reason for doing something that you don't want to do, right? And so you don't want to learn English, right? Because here's why. Because you've spent your whole lives in classrooms and studying and probably failing exams and getting in trouble and feeling pressure, right, from English your whole life. So you have a bad association with it. Okay, let's talk real. You have a bad association with English, and it's not entirely your fault, right? That's just the way the system is. But the fact remains that it's important, right? It goes back to this reason. The fact remains it's important. It would be to your advantage, open up more opportunities, give you more income. And managers, I hope you're listening, or someone passes a clip onto you or something. But it's to your advantage if you're a fighter, or if you are a fighter, if you speak English at least a little, at least, to be concrete, at least a little, because it's better for your career, right? And this is a career at the end of the day, right? It is a career. It is a business, you know? And then this is how you do it, right? This is how you find the reason, find your motivation. And I'll tell you what, your motivation is probably not going to be English, just to learn English, right? That's not your motivation. Your motivation is to advance your career. I mean, I would think. Maybe your motivation is breaking faces, and that's your, it's your sport. It's your thing. Cool. Then, that's cool. We're all good. Like if it's not important to you, then don't study English. You know what I mean? So that's just it. English is not the motivation. You see, it's kind of like your body. Have you ever had like a pain in your leg and you're like, oh man, my hip hurts, my hip hurts. But really, the reason your right hip hurts is because of something went wacky in your left shoulder, right? And then that's throwing off your alignment. And then that's twisting your hips. And then you have hip problems, so it's not connected, right? Or it's all connected, but it's not direct. So this is how you become motivated with studying English, because you're not studying English, you're learning English as a skill. It's another art, right? It's just like you want to improve your jiu-jitsu game, you want to improve your kickboxing game, you want to improve your boxing game, your wrestling game, your defense game, your guard game. Improve your business game and improve your English game. And instead of having to be a well-rounded mixed martial artist, a well-rounded successful person, because you're not just cool in the gang with being a white belt in the business side of the fight business, and you're not cool in the gang with being just a white belt in the relationship business or whatever, right? You know what I mean? But it's part of being a well-rounded individual, I think. And English, if you're a non-native English speaker, it's absolutely to your advantage. So this is how to do it. Find your reason. Your reason is to advance your career. Your reason is to have fun at these press conferences. Look, it looked like some of these guys were having fun. He looked miserable, and you might say, well, yeah, I don't like him anyway. But that's the beauty of learning a foreign language, because you can change and dictate who you're going to become. You can build a new personality. And that's, I think, one of the big advantages. That's one of the big advantages to being a non-native speaker, right? Let's talk about advantages. An advantage of being a non-native speaker is that you can determine who you are. You can build a new character and have it be natural and have it be authentic and have it be real, because you're using a different part. You're literally using a different part of your brain than your first language personality, right? In Korean, I have a different personality. I'm a different person than when I speak Spanish. And I learned a lot from my Spanish-speaking personality. That sounds crazy, but I learned a lot from them, because because I formed that personality, I'm more confident. And then I'm like, oh, that's how you be. That's how you're more confident in interviews, for example, or whatever. But anyway, so that's an advantage because you can construct anybody you want. So here's the thing, listen to the difference. This is why it's so important, why it's important to give effort, right?
Sábado, eu vou nocautear esse cara.
Você for that you're not a fan of.
So here we have
Yeah,
the
go ahead.
English question.
Davidson, it seems like you're taking preparation for this camp very seriously. You've said that your opponent, Brandon Moreno, has said some things that you're not a fan of. What specifically has he said that makes this personal for you in this rematch?
By the way, he spoke really quickly and unclear, but I would start paying attention to where he said, but specifically, right? That's then.
What specifically has he said that makes this personal for you in this rematch?
So now there was the question, right? This is why English is so important.
Davidson, você teve muito mais tempo de preparação para essa luta e você falou que o Moreno falou algumas coisas sobre você que você não gostou. Especificamente, o que foi que ele falou que você não gostou?
Then that whole interpretation of that long question.
Breno Moreno é um cara que fala muito.
First of all, he speaks a lot.
Eu sou um cara que vou calar a boca dele no sábado.
And then like awkward parts like that. And by the way, I'm not saying like the interpreter, he's awesome. Any interpreter who does this is incredible to me because, I mean, unless they completely, are bad, but like, it's really impressive. It's a really impressive skill to have. And they work really hard. I just wanted to share that before I said, but it would be better for your career, right? To be able to answer this more directly. You see what I mean?
Eu vou nocautear esse cara no primeiro round. Preste atenção no que eu tô falando. Eu vou nocautear esse cara no primeiro round. I'm going to knock you out. I'm going to knock you out.
Okay, so I know what you're probably thinking. You see, he spoke English and it was kind of awkward or whatever, right? But listen, it was after the entire time, and it kind of felt like desperation. Not desperation, because it wasn't, because well done, he said it, right? But it was after all that time, there was so much emotional time wasted between the question and the answer, right? So just a little bit. Here's the thing. You don't need to know a lot. You don't need to study English. You see what I mean? Like, you don't need to study English. 10 minutes a day. That's all I have with the Ego method. That's all you have to do. Do this 10 minutes a day. Study English. Like, and when I say study English, study how they use it. Study how to get the essence out of a question, right? Forget subject plus verb plus object. Okay, like conditionals, first conditional, second. Okay, those are good to know. I argue that they're really things for a teacher to know really well, but usually it turns out that students know it better, like the grammar rules. But they are more things for a teacher to know to be able to teach the language. Does that make sense? But anyway, so you don't need to study grammar. You don't need to study the language. Study English. And that's what we're doing today. And let me know if you like this. I could do it, something like this regularly. Actually, I do. It's every Monday. What am I talking about? So you don't need to study. So let's see.
First of all, he talks a lot, and I'm going to shut him up because I'm going to knock him out in the first round.
And then here's like another,
Brandon,
then they said it again. So he could play this so well as a heel and just like embrace that and go that route, which he might, but there's so much emotional time in here. So like it goes back to the point of it goes back. You can construct any person, anybody you want, any character you want to be. And I don't want to say character like, invent something, but you can become anyone you want to be because you're using a different part of your brain.
Breno Moreno é um cara que fala muito.
First of all, he speaks a lot.
Eu sou um cara que vou calar
See,
a boca
there's
dele.
no like emotion here. And then
Eu vou nocautear esse cara no
you see, so, but here's the thing, goes back, only learn what you need, right? In these sorts of situations and by studying these. And then there's Nate Diaz. And then Moreno. Now,
First round.
listen to the difference. Just because he's speaking for himself, there's a difference in here. Of course, he speaks English well, but you can tell he's not perfect. He has the same insecurities as you, but he overcome as anyone, the listener, I mean.
Brandon, what's your response to your
So-
opponent's prediction?
Of course, there's personality stuff in here, but
Chinga madre, viva México, güey. Viva México, cabrón. Man, I speak too much because I have
he was talking. Now, the difference in that is, you might think, well, you see, Jesse, he just wanted to get, but the difference is, you saw the Mexican flag. He was talking specifically to a specific audience, and I think that's a big thing too. But he was talking to them, and now he's talking to us,
have my own voice, I'm not a puppet of anybody, so that's why I talk too much. So I was very honest with myself about what I think about the fight. The guy, he tried to knock me out in the first fight, and then he started to make excuses. It's fine. It's fine, guys. It's really fine. Está bien. No hay pedo. Está bien. But hey, I mean,
So, he's going back and forth really nicely. And you can tell when the emotion comes up, you see how it's kind of like a
this
different,
next time fine. Está bien. No hay pedo. Está bien. But fine.
So, but you can see how this is in his native language, right? And the point that I'm getting at here is, this is the difference of giving an effort, right? He's having the crowd go wild. Yeah, there are a lot of his fans, but if you can feel the energy here, you saw the difference. And this is, again, I hope that I am not coming across as bashing anybody for their, one reason or another. I'm just saying how it can be advantageous to learn English to give interviews. That's all. But this is what I would do. And you notice the thing is, you power through your insecurities. Brendan Moreno, he's insecure with his English. Brendan Moreno, you could tell, or I could tell, you probably couldn't tell, but I could tell, he was struggling to find the words that he wanted to say. He was concerned if he was saying it the right way. The same as you. The same as you. The same as I hear people telling me all the time, they feel insecure. They feel like they're the worst ones in the room. They feel nervous because they can't come up with the right words, or they feel nervous if they make a mistake. You could see all of that in Brendan Moreno's speech. The difference is, and the reason he has this reaction is that he does it anyway. He does it anyway. And this is to your advantage. This is building your character, right? Building your stronger persona. I don't know what his style is in Mexican and Spanish interviews, Spanish-speaking interviews. I don't know. That'd be interesting to look at and see. But it's to your advantage. And another advantage is selective listening. And like anyone who's in a bilingual, household, if you speak one language and somebody else speaks, if one of you speaks one language and the other speaks another, And then, so you're always communicating in a foreign language, right? Somebody's. So like an advantage, and it could be for fighters too, is you can turn on and off your listening. You can listen with more intent or less intent. So that way, when your opponent is talking, you can turn it off and not be really as emotionally affected by it. You know, you can be more calculated. You can be more cerebral. You can be more rational, and that's to your advantage too.
Just make sure you shout out, don't test us after this.
It's love everywhere I go.
So I just kind of wanted to share these. I don't know.
Shut the fuck up. Your daddy's talking. Shut the fuck up.
And then there's that, right? I actually, you know, the swearing back and forth, that's style, their style, whatever. But this is all I wanted to share with you. I wanted to come on here. I don't want it to go too long, but have a little impromptu lesson. This was something that I just kind of thought about. I don't know. Let me know if you liked it. Let me know if you didn't like it. Or if you didn't watch, then that I guess would show you didn't like it. But I might leave this up and see what happens. Thank you for watching. I saw some of you are watching, so thank you for watching live. And I teach the Ego Method and how to actually hunt language every Mondays. But next Monday on the 21st of June, I'm going to be hosting a live masterclass. Follow me on Facebook or LinkedIn to find out about that. But the Ego Method, that's what I do. And ask me about it. All right. Thank you and good night.